And you're watching News 9's special edition Global Lens, your top destination for all the global developments. And our top focus at this hour, ground shaking, buildings collapsing and terrified students fleeing classrooms. That's right, that's the image of Philippines, because after a powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake has ripped through the southern island. Buildings collapsed, schools were damaged, and 32 people have lost their lives in one of the strongest earthquakes to hit the country in recent years. Massive 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck off the southern Philippines on Monday morning, sending powerful tremors across Mindanao Island and triggering widespread destructions. The day The day began with children returning to school after the holidays, but within seconds, classrooms turned into the scene of chaos. At an elementary school in Digos City, students were seen being rocked back and forth during the morning assembly before part of the roof structure collapsed. Teachers rushed to evacuate frightened children as debris crashed to the ground.
Bantay mo, anak. Bantay mo, diate. Lingkod lang, lingkod lang. Lingkod lang. Lingkod lang. Bantay mo, anak. Bantay mo, diate.
And in General Santos City, near the epicenter, building shook violently. Videos captured clouds of dust rising into the air as concrete walls crumbled and terrified residents rushed out onto the streets. One of the most dramatic moments was caught on camera when the upper floor of a popular restaurant collapsed. Several commercial buildings also suffered major structural damage. Now, according to the National Disaster Agencies, at least 15 people have been killed, 12 in the Sox-Ragon region and 3 in Davao Occidental province. Rescue teams are continuing search operations amid fears that more people may be trapped under the rubble. Authorities have warned residents not to return to damaged buildings because of the risk of powerful aftershocks. Tsunami warning was briefly issued after the earthquake, with the wave of up to 3 meters feared along some coastal areas. However, the warning was later lifted as the threat subsided. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said that evacuation centers have been activated and emergency agencies are assessing damage while clearing roads for rescue operations. Schools in affected areas have been shut until further notice. The Philippines sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, one of the most seismically active regions in the world, making the country highly vulnerable to earthquakes and volcanic activity. For now, some rescue teams continue their race against time, while thousands of residents remain fearful of aftershocks and further devastation.
Wasak na, wasak.
Bus, may medic, bus.
Oh, medic ta, wala.
Oh, apat lang.
Wasak na, wasak.
Bus, may medic, bus.
Oh, medic ta, wala.
Oh, apat lang.
Wasak na, wasak.
Bus, may medic, bus.
Oh, medic ta, wala.
Oh, apat lang.
Wasak na, wasak. Bus, may medic, bus. Oh, medic ta, wala.
Bus, may medic, bus. Oh, apat lang. 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 Bus, may medic, bus. Oh, apat
Wasak na, wasak.
Boss, may medic, boss.
Oh, medic ta, wala.
Oh, apat lang.
Wasak na, wasak.
Boss, may medic, boss.
Oh, medic ta, wala. Wasak.
Now, the full extent of the damage is still being assessed, and authorities say that casualty figures could rise as rescue operations continue in the affected regions. Visuals on your screens right now as the island nation has been rocked by 7.8 magnitude of earthquake.
Bantay mo, anak. Bantay mo diya, te.
And now let's shift our focus to the escalating tensions in the West Asia region, where in the latest update, US President Donald Trump has called on Israel and Iran to immediately stop the war. Israel said that it carried out strikes on military targets in the western and central Iran on Monday, despite reports that Donald Trump had urged Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to avoid any further military action as diplomatic efforts continue. The latest exchange comes amid growing concerns that renewed hostilities could derail ongoing US-Iran peace talks aimed at ending the broader regional conflict. Just hours before the strikes, President Donald Trump said that any new military action by Israel or Iran would not derail negotiations with Tehran, insisting that a deal to end the wider war remained within reach. Donald Trump also suggested that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was not dictating the US policy as Washington continues to push for a diplomatic breakthrough. The US president has reportedly pressured Israel to scale back its military operations in Lebanon in order to create a space for negotiations. Now, according to the media reports, Donald Trump even rebuked Netanyahu during a phone call last week over continued attacks. Now, despite those efforts, Israel has launched strikes in the Beirut area on Sunday, the first such attack since Washington announced a ceasefire proposal for Lebanon last week. Iran has responded with a barrage of missiles targeting Israel, raising fears that the escalating conflict could jeopardize the ongoing peace talks between Washington and Tehran. Nevertheless, Donald Trump maintained that an agreement remains achievable. A few hours later, the Israeli military announced that it had struck Iranian military targets. Iran's Revolutionary Guards claimed that Israel used air-launched ballistic missiles in the operation. The renewed fighting sent oil prices sharply higher, with benchmark Brent crude rising more than 3% in early Monday trading, climbing back above $96 a barrel. Iran's Revolutionary Guards has said that they targeted the Ramat David Air Base near Nazareth. Israel's military said that it detected incoming missiles and that its air defense system successfully intercepted the missiles. Air raid sirens were also heard in Tel Aviv, according to a witness. The Israeli military later said that it had detected a missile launched from Yemen and activated the air defense system to counter the threat. The attack marked the first strike from Yemen against Israel since the April 8 truce. Meanwhile, Donald Trump and Netanyahu spoke by phone for nearly 30 minutes on Sunday, according to Axios. Citing a U.S. officials, Donald Trump has urged the Israeli leader to refrain from additional strikes, saying, and I quote, that we are close to doing something good in terms of a deal. Since negotiations began, Israel has continued military operations against Hezbollah in Lebanon, arguing that conflict should remain separate from any ceasefire arrangement involving Iran. Tehran, however, has repeatedly stated that any peace agreement with United States could deepen on a ceasefire also holding in Lebanon, where Israel launched operations against the Iran-backed Hezbollah movement. As tensions continue to rise across multiple fronts in the West Asia, international efforts to secure a broader ceasefire face renewed uncertainty. I'm being joined by Major General Rajan Kochar, who's also a defense expert. He is with me on the broadcast. Major General, welcome on the show. My first question to you right now is that Donald Trump has recently reacted to the fresh strikes, and he has said that I order both the countries, both the sides to immediately stop the attack. I mean, I want to talk about the position that Donald Trump is in right now, because just hours earlier, before Israel has launched fresh strikes on Iran, he said that I'm the one who's calling the shots in the war. And then you see Netanyahu breaking ranks with Donald Trump and launching fresh strikes in Iran. How do you see this development coming out, and what do you think is the position of Donald Trump at this moment?
Okay, thank you, Nancy. It's a very, very interesting question, because it has been debated enough in circles, in all strategic circles, that who's calling the shots. Because Donald Trump is trying to say that he is the one, but actually it is the other way around. Because if you remember, if I take you back to the war, 28th of February, Israel started the offensive by firing the first shot, and after that, Donald Trump joined in. And look at the kind of influence the Zionist lobby enjoys in the United States Parliament, Senate, and each of the business houses, how the senators are elected. We all know from where the funding comes. So it is, I think, it needs a kind of an exposure to the general public that Donald Trump does not call the shots, he only speaks the shots. And
Right.
as we have seen it happening here also, time and again, he has mentioned and he has been telling Netanyahu, as a matter of fact, chiding him in public media. But that has no effect on Netanyahu, because we need to understand the dynamics of Israel. You see, the dynamics of Israel is such that uh, Israel is a sovereign country. Whatever decisions Israel is taking, it is taking based on its national interests. It is not listening or seeking permission from the United States that should I start the offensive in Lebanon or not. And most of the things, see, in public, what you see, and off the record, the relationship between the two countries is different, because a public perception is now being created to suggest that there is some kind of a rift involved in Trump and Netanyahu. It is not the case, because Israel and United States are deeply embedded in this entire, uh, you see this entire thing, and
That's right.
whatever Israel is doing, it is with the connivance of United States. So I have no doubt about that.
That's
So
right, Major General. We are getting the latest tweet of Donald Trump as well, where he has said that Israel and Iran must immediately stop shooting at each other. And this clearly, it's you are the cracks between the allies, US and Israel, are now out in the open, because Netanyahu is clearly not listening to Donald Trump and is ignoring all the advice that he's been giving, be it related to Iran and be it related to Lebanon as well. Because he has said repeatedly that whatever the attacks that we have and we are doing in Lebanon should be separated from the talks in Iran.
see, Nancy, these are not cracks, because I don't call them as cracks. These are differences of opinion, and there will be, and there have been earlier also such instances, but I still maintain the stakes of this friendship are too high in the Middle East, in West Asia, because Israel and United States are bosom friends here, and they need each other in this campaign against Iran. They cannot fight this campaign alone. And this kind of public posturing I've been seeing, this is not the first time. We have time and again seen when Trump is saying in public also, he has chided Netanyahu and called him all sorts of names. So I don't take these statements very, very seriously as far as the relationship between the two countries is concerned, because this relationship is very, very deep. Look at Abraham Accord, which was initiated by Donald Trump. Why was it initiated? It
Right.
was to get actually Israel into this entire thing and create a kind of a friendship with the Muslim countries. So I think this only from the point of a statement, but within itself, their relationship is very strong, and it will continue to be like that.
Well, that's right, Major General. We have another tweet of Donald Trump coming in. He's saying that both sides, Israel and Iran, are looking to do an immediate ceasefire. Final negotiations on peace are proceedings subject to ignorance or stupidity getting in its way. He has said that the blockade will remain in place and in full force and effect until a final deal is reached between the two. And he has said and has ordered that things now should move quickly between Iran and Israel, because it seems like the sticky points between the two countries to reach an agreement, and the world is feeling the impact of the war now. We can see that the oil prices are going up. India as a country is dealing with the fuel shock. At this moment, how important do you think that it is important for both the sides to come to an agreement and finally have a final and a logged deal of ceasefire?
That is the essence of this entire peace agreement, because this peace agreement cannot happen in silos. And it is very, very clear. It is not a US, if it announces that it has struck a deal with Iran, there will be peace, because Israel has to be part of this deal. And you see, unfortunately, I've not seen a member of the Israeli being a part of this peace delegation. So it's extremely important here to understand that this war can only come to an end in case Israel, US, and Iran, all the three, decide to end this war. Even if one country is dissenting here, as in the case of Israel, we can actually see it, this war is not going to come to an end, and it is extremely bad for the global economy, because we are seeing how things are deteriorating in our own country, as well as the other countries who are affected by this: China, South Korea, Japan, including the European countries. So I think Donald Trump, firstly, should rein in Netanyahu. Secondly, we don't see any kind of response to the peace deal by Iran. It is only Donald Trump who's making these statements that the peace deal is going to happen by Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We don't see any of these statements coming from Iran. So it is suggesting to us that the terms of the deal which have been sent to Iran are not acceptable to them. And there is a lack of trust involved, because Iran does not want to trust the United States. And Pakistan's role has been shredded to pieces, because Pakistan was claiming to be a mediator. Today, one is not even hearing anything from Pakistan as far as this deal is concerned. So I think what is most important is that Donald Trump should walk the talk. You see, unfortunately, he's not walking the talk. He's only talking. He's not walking. So because unless
he started the war, he's the one who was who launched military action, and now it's very weird for him to come out as somebody who's trying to negotiate a peace deal between Iran and Israel.
You see, that is the irony of the whole thing, because possibly he wants to get another Nobel Prize by actually adding one more to his list of achievements. I don't know, he has said that 20 countries he has brokered the peace deal. I don't know which countries are those, but on the lighter side that was. But then trying to understand what Donald Trump is trying to do is, he is desperate to get out of this place. He is not going to start the war again, because he's not in a position to start the war. He is run out of interceptor. He is run out of ammo. He has run out of his own people. The Republicans are deserting him in this cause. There is a backlash in his own country. The NATO countries are not with him. The European allies are not with him. So he has a reason now. He has to get out. So he will try to convince Netanyahu to keep quiet and shut the war in Lebanon.
Well, thank you so much, Major General.